Just trying to survive and learn to love along the way. By Foreplay on AO3. Episode 67, Chapter 67 of Headaches and a Traitor. Izuku is surprised when the second test starts. All in all, it's not too complicated. After the stress of being separated from his friends and going up against other hero students, Izuku could almost say that it was easy. He focuses on rescue points. It's easiest that way. After all, he's never been very good at first aid. Hitoshi's quirk isn't well suited for rescue, so he opts to stay behind and help look after the people they bring to triage. Izuku sticks with Shoto instead. It's best to work in teams. He's not even in the area when King Orca and his fake villains appear. Instead, they run into Kirishima. He'd gotten separated from Kachan and ended up searching for people on his own. So Izuku invites him to join the little group, and their team of 2 becomes 3. It's not long after Kirishima joins that Izuku starts feeling off. There's a headache behind his eyes, and he can't help the feeling that something is about to go very wrong. The final buzzer sounds, but the feeling doesn't go away. Instead, it seems to build with his headache. They start making their way to where the announcer wants everybody to meet, but Izuku can't do it. The more they move, the more the feeling grows, and it feels like his head is splitting in 2. Izuku collapses to his knees and tries to evade the pressure. Nothing works. Izuku, what's wrong? Shota kneels in front of him, while Kirishima stands behind him, a concerned frown on his face. It's only then that he realizes what this feeling means. I think we're about to get attacked. Shota opens his mouth to answer, but they're cut off by another voice. Right you are, Izuku. This can't be right. He must be hearing things. But Izuku sees the look of shock and confusion on his friends' faces, and knows that they heard the voice too. Hagakure, what do you mean? Suddenly, there's a woman in front of them, and she speaks using their classmate's voice. It means that you're being attacked by a villain. She disappears as suddenly as she appears, and then they're left staring into empty air. Truthfully, I'm only here for one of you. Little Todoroki, your brother has crossed some very bad people. Realization settles in then. Izuku knows pretty much all of Touya's history, based of what Shoto told him, and what he learned from spending time with his brothers at the dorm. You're the one who's been following him. There is a pot on his head, but when Izuku turns around, there's no one there. Right you are. You're just a bonus kill, Izuku. Heroes are always so upset when something happens to their kids, so I'm sure Eraserhead is no exception. What do you have against my dad? Why, he took my toy. Izuku stands then, and looks around for any sign of where she could be. He got into a habit at the start of the year. He analyzed all their classmates' quirk, including Hagakure, so he knows exactly what to look for. She can't completely disappear. Her body is still there, just not visible. So that means that everything around her is still affected by her existence. Footprints still show up, rocks are displaced, and when she moves, there's a tiny shift in the air that can give away her position. He explains as much to his friends, and they spread out to try and track her down. Probably not their smartest move. They're getting too far away from one another, and Hagakure appears somewhere else each time. His head is pounding along with the beat of his heart, and seems to intensify as a crashing sounds from above them. But Izuku knows she can't fly, so he ignores it, and focuses elsewhere instead. His headache worsens at the detention, so he looks up in hopes of pleasing it. Endeavor flies above them, eyes focusing on empty space. He looks ready to fight, even though nobody can actually see the villain. Recognition flashes across the hero's face, and Izuku follows his gaze to see that Hagakure had made an appearance again. She disappeared as soon as she catches him looking, and Izuku's head is screaming at him that something's wrong. He turns to Shoto to warn him or something, but his friend's actually running straight for him, a look of worry on his face. Clearly, he knows that something's up. So Izuku turns to Kirishima. He looks completely oblivious to the upcoming danger as he looks around for Hagakure. She's last been near him, so he understands Kirishima's worry. It's too late when Izuku figures it out. Shoto has nearly reached him when he moves to his aching head again. Endeavor is preparing an attack, and they're all in the blast radius. A wall of ice blocks his vision, just as the flames start up. Kirishima! Izuku dives for the wall as he yells. There's no way he's losing another classmate. Not when he could do something about it. He pulls back a fist to punch through the ice. Fire be damned. When a warm hand stops him. You can't. Shoto's other hand is up against the wall, keeping the ice thick enough to protect them. But we have to save him. Shoto shakes his head, barely visible through Izuku's tears. Joe, please. I can't lose him. That's the only thing keeping Izuku upright now, is Shoto's grip on his wrist. He's ready to collapse from the pain and exhaustion, but he can't just leave Kirishima vulnerable out there. He knows that Kirishima has his quirk. Technically, he may be able to protect himself from all the fire. He did it with Touya's, and Izuku thinks that his fire is hotter than the hero's anyways. But his friend hasn't seen. There had been no warning for the attack. His dad leaps down from the stance, walking around their barrier and out of sight. It's only seconds before the fire dies down, and Shoto doesn't need Izuku convincing him to melt the rest of the ice. There's not much left of it anyways. The first thing he focuses on is blue flames. When did Touya join them? Once the fire dies down, Izuku can see he's curled around something. Something that just happens to have bright red hair. Did he save him? He turns to Shota's lack of answer, and his friend is staring off in the direction he was, so Izuku turns to take a better look. His dad and Endeavor stand, very clearly arguing. His dad has something under control, so he turns back to his friend. Touya is slowly sitting up, and as soon as he is, Kirishima follows suit. It's hard to tell from here, but they both look relatively okay. He can see his dad punch Endeavor in his peripheral, but returns to the aching in his head that keeps focusing on his friends. It's a good thing, too, because there's a quick shimmer in the air before Hagakure is there. She must say something to announce her presence, because moments later, Touya turns towards her. His dad and Endeavor turn towards the group at the same time. He pulls a gun. Nobody has a chance to even think before a shot rings out. It's loud and echoes through the building for a few seconds. Izuku is grateful that he isn't as close to the noise as his friends, but he's also wishing he was closer. Then maybe he could do something. Izuku could just make out the lines of hardening on Kirishima's back as he sits up, unharmed. Although something must be wrong with the way he's leaning on Touya. Hagakure is turned towards the heroes now, and Izuku can tell his dad is planning something. That's why he stays still. He just has to trust in his dad. Kirishima seems to be trying to get up, but there's something stopping him. Hagakure does nothing as his dad whips his capture weapon towards her classmate. With a flip of the wrist, Kirishima is flying up and through the air. Izuku almost goes to grab him, but a flash of red from the side stops him. He can trust that Hawks will grab him. He turns back to the situation as Hagakure turns her gun on his dad. He looks like he's trying to calm her down, but it's clearly not working. She turned away from them, which means Izuku can do something. He moves just as they practice, aiming to grab the gun with his own capture scarf. Except, it's not his scarf that shoots towards them. It's a Blackwhip. I knew that she was the... Oh my god, I called it. I was like, is it Hagakure? Because that's the only character we know that's invisible. Is it Hagakure? Could it be Hagakure? Is it Hagakure? Now, oh my god, Izuku's Blackwhip. Oh my god, this is so monumental. I love that. He's developing faster than he is in My Hero Academia main, which makes sense. He's in a more stable condition, and he's literally his two dads are pro heroes who are really good at training and are teachers to heroes in training. It would make sense on why he would progress a whole lot faster with their help, you know? So chapter 68 is called Of Blood and Confusion. I feel like the confusion part is probably because, you know, he is confused on what the fuck is happening. What is this Blackwhip thing? He probably will have that same reaction he had in the My Hero Academia main. That, not necessarily panic, well, yeah, it's a panic attack. He had a panic attack. So maybe we're gonna have that, maybe we're gonna have a little bit of that, a heartache, that whole, I can't control it, help me please, except Aizawa's gonna be right there, and is gonna be able to erase his quirk, and everything will be peachy, everything will be good, everything will be okay. So, hopefully that's good. Of the blood, I don't know whose blood, but there's blood, apparently, and I'm scared about that. But yeah, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.